Hello, my name is Mary Mack, and I'm the Executive Director of CEDS, the Association of Certified eDiscovery Specialists. And I want to welcome you to a wonderful product service showcase that we have sponsored by our wonderful Diamond affiliate, RICOH. We're going to be talking today about optimizing your eDiscovery spend with business intelligence. We have a nice demo for you, and we have two CEDS, not one CEDS, but two CEDS to talk with you about this. We have Virginia Addison. She is a CEDS and an eDiscovery solutions architect with over 12 years of experience with large eDiscovery projects in our community. She does workflows. She's working with all sorts of complex litigation. She's also an active member of the DC Bar eDiscovery Committee and Women in eDiscovery. So welcome, Virginia.
Thank you.
You're welcome. We can't wait for your demo, and we have with her the fabulous Matt Mahon, National eDiscovery Sales Manager and co-founder of our flagship San Francisco CEDS chapter. He also is an IGP. He's got his own bona fides in the eDiscovery discipline, and he is a self-proclaimed nerd with a BA in Mathematics and Applied Sciences from the UC San Diego. Matt, welcome back.
Thanks for having me, Mary.
And I say, take it away. We'll be soliciting your questions, of course, in the Q&A panel. We're going to save most questions for the end, although Matt will be monitoring as well, so that we can be respectful of your time for the demo. And anybody whose question doesn't get answered will get a reach out, and we'll make sure that you get those questions answered by the end of the week here. So Matt and Virginia, it's all yours now. Thanks for being here.
Thanks, Mary, and hello to everybody. Good afternoon to those on the East and Central, and good morning to my fellow West Coasters. So today we're going to be talking about RICOH Acumen, doing a live demonstration, focusing on the performance tracking in real time, uploading and processing data directly into Relativity workspaces, then the business intelligence provided by RICOH Acumen, and how to optimize your eDiscovery spend, followed by Q&A. So we should have plenty of time for some Q&A at the end for you all. So why are we here today? We're here because our clients have requested to have the ability to manage some of their administrative tasks within their Relativity workspaces that we host for them. So these tasks include setting up some workspaces, managing their users, and loading data directly into those workspaces. Additionally, our clients have requested more advanced reporting so they can have instant access to metrics on their workspaces and track the progress and the productivity of their document reviews in real time. So this data can be utilized to understand case trends, budget their eDiscovery spend, and provide the intelligence required to uncover greater efficiencies in their workflows. So RICOH has developed a tool that empowers users to intuitively accomplish more administrative tasks without having to have their own instance of Relativity or having to be a Relativity certified administrator. RICOH Acumen joins the rest of our portfolio of cloud eDiscovery technologies that are hosted within our Microsoft Azure cloud environment with enhanced security, where our data is not only encrypted as it moves over the network and between applications, but also at rest. So in this demonstration, our brilliant solutions architect, Virginia Addison, is going to walk you through several things that RICOH Acumen allows Relativity users to see and do with their cases. And all the tasks you're about to see will be available to users that have the right rights within their organization. So take it away, Virginia.
Awesome. Hi, everybody. So I'm going to do a couple of polls real quick before we actually get into the live demo. First poll, how long does it take to get a new Relativity workspace set up for you, or whatever it is that you're trying to do with the Relativity workspace? I'm going to give everybody just some time to actually answer the question. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and see what the results are. All right, looks like hours. Okay, so next poll real quick. How do you set up a Relativity workspace or a user in Relativity? Do you contact a project manager, maybe a Relativity administrator, or do you actually do it yourself? All right. Let's see what the results of that one is. Mostly a project manager. So what does that tell me? It tells me that a lot of you have to wait a long time to have a Relativity workspace or a user set up, not to mention processing data or loading it into Relativity. What about password resets? All of these subtract time from that review in Relativity. That's why RICOH developed the RICOH Acumen tool to actually help our clients take control of some of those Relativity administrative tasks and take back a lot of that time that they could be doing on that review. All right, so let's do a demo real quick. All right, and please let me know if you cannot see my screen. I actually have it shared at the moment. I'll give everybody a second to let the screen refresh. When I first log in, I'm at the workspace management screen. Here you can create a new workspace in Relativity by using the new workspace button here. You'll need to give it a workspace name, a matter name, and then you can select which template you would like to use to create the workspace. Once you fill these out, then you just click the new workspace button here. You can also manage your users. By clicking that Manage Users button, you'll be able to create a new user. You can add their first name, last name, and their email address. Click New User, and the user will get an email with a password to log in. If the user already exists, you can also deactivate the user using this button next to their name, or you can reset their password using the key button. To manage users and group access, you would just need to find which workspace you want to manage, and then click the Group Management button next to it. Up at the top, there's a Select Group dropdown. You would just select which group you want to change the access to. If you want to add a group user, just click the Add Group User button. Select which user you want to add, the little right arrow, and then Add Group User. You'll see that this user will actually appear in the list. If you want to remove a user from the group, you just click the little X button next to it.
So Virginia, based on what you just demonstrated, about the same amount of time it takes to write an email to your project manager to create a user or deactivate a user or add or remove a user from a group, you can easily accomplish this task yourself.
Exactly. And it's done instantaneously without having to wait for that project manager to come back and say, I've done the task, or what, God forbid, they may have a question for you before they can actually complete the task. So there'd be a lot of back and forth that would have to take a lot of time to get that done. So the next thing I'm going to show you is how to add native data to a workspace utilizing Relativity processing. So the first thing you'll do is you'll click on the Load Data button next to the workspace you want to add the data to. You'll need to give the processing set a name. Next, you can select which folder in Relativity you want to add that data to, which data custodian you want to add the data to. Then you can select a profile there, how the data set is deduped and what data is passed forward to the review platform. We can set these up for processing specifications for each of our clients as well too. You can also select the time zone, which is, I'm going to go ahead and leave it as UTC, which is Universal Time Code, and then the OCR language. This is going to be predominantly English, so I'm going to leave it as English. Next is the prefix for that document ID, so this will be what it's listed as in Relativity whenever you process it. And then I'll click the Begin Transfer button. And you'll notice that it'll allow me to select data upload after this.
So Virginia, what exact processing settings are available when you're setting up those unique profiles?
Sure, so there's quite a few. So dedupe and denist are available, of course. Publishing that data for all users to see, or maybe keeping it hidden so that a case admin can look it over before publishing it. Email output type, the extraction of attachments, maybe an email with attachments, as well as the text extraction method, to name a few. All right, so files can be uploaded directly using RICOH Acumen, or we can use this advanced button to obtain some unique credentials that you can use the Microsoft Azure Storage Explorer to upload maybe larger data sets, things like that. We're just going to go ahead and use RICOH Acumen to upload data for the demo. But before I select any files to upload, I want to discuss the little folder tree over here. If you want to store data in a particular way, we can use the new folder button to create folders. So I'm going to go ahead and create a folder with my name on it. And you can see it appears over here. I'm going to go ahead and select it because this is where I want to upload my data. So I'm going to choose Files. I'm going to choose this zip file here. And then I'm going to click the Upload Files. And this is going to begin that transfer. You can add more data at any time as well, too. Just select which folders you want to add them to, things like that. If you ever get away from this screen, we have a transfer button over here to the left. So it'll take you straight back to this screen here. Once I'm finished, I can actually hit the, as I scroll down, I can hit the Finalize button, and it will push this to processing and eventual upload to Relativity. So I'm going to go ahead and hit Final. And then if you ever need to get this job screen and see how things are going, there is a Jobs button over here to the left as well. All right, so I'm going to do another poll. Give me just 1 second to push that poll to you guys. All right, so what level of transparency do you have for your monthly Relativity hosting volume? Do you have none, you just see it when you get the bill? Do you receive weekly reports? Do you get it from your project manager whenever you ask for that information? Give everybody a little bit of time to answer.
And if you don't see the poll question, feel free to refresh your browser. It'll pop up.
All right, I'll give everybody a few more seconds just in case. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and click Next. Okay, cool. So when I ask the project manager for it is the big predominant one here. So one of the things that RICOH created in RICOH Acumen was a way to provide on-demand reporting on those workspaces that the user has access to. This data visualization can be based on a specific workspace, maybe by using, oh, here, I'm going to show you real quick, sorry. Let me get to the workspace management. There we go. So you can either click on the statistics button next to each of the different workspaces, or you can use the all across everything. So we have a button over here to get to the statistics so you can look at all workspaces. So I'm going to go ahead and click on this one here on the left. You can either use the drop down here and select which workspace you want to get statistics for. You can select multiple as well too. For this demo, I'm actually going to clear workspaces and do all workspaces. You can also use the date range over here to the right of that as well. So you can date range it. So as I scroll down, you're going to see the very first chart is a daily statistics based on the different workspaces that I have access to. They are stacked upon one another. You can remove specific workspaces by clicking on their name in the legend and add them back, as well as you can hover over and see how much data was in a specific day for each workspace. If there was a change, you can see there's a little green plus 0.12 next to the case that actually had data added to it. All right, so the next chart that I'm going to show you is a monthly statistics. These are stacked upon one another as well. You can see here we have the different color coding with the legend down here at the bottom. You can do the same thing by clicking on names to add and remove the workspaces as well. And then you can also see the green additions to any of the workspaces in the, as you hover over. Next is a pie chart. It compares the current data sizes of each workspace. You can hover over and see what percentage a specific case is to the total size of workspaces that you have access to. So like the Walter White versus US, which anybody that watches Breaking Bad will laugh at some of the case names we have in our demo. It is 91% of the cases that I have access to. I scroll back up to the top, you'll see I have other tabs. I have a cumulative tab and a data tab. I'm going to go ahead and click on the cumulative tab. You'll see a similar bar chart, except that it's just one bar showing all of the cases I have access to over that same time frame. Same thing for the monthly statistics, it's just one bar. The last tab is the data tab. It shows the raw data that's behind all of those graphs and charts that we just saw.
So Virginia,
Yeah, I
all
think
this
you had
data
a comment.
visualization,
Yeah.
yeah, the visualization is
Go ahead.
great, but what if I'm an outside counsel and I want to provide this information to my corporate clients, or if I'm a legal operations professional and want to use this chart when I'm doing my budget reporting for the CFO?
Awesome question. So we do have a way to export. You can actually export this raw data straight from RICOH Acumen using either the Excel button or the PDF button, as well as, if you'll see on each of the different chart pages, you can export this entire report using the button up at the top, as well as each chart is available to be exported in 3 formats: PDF, image, and then CSV. So you can export all of those. All right, so let's say we have, no problem, thank you. So let's say we have a large review project and we need to ensure that it's happening in a timely fashion, or maybe we need to drill into a particular productivity of an individual, things like that. I'm going to do a quick poll. I just want to kind of see what everybody's experience has been on being able to, and go ahead and refresh too, on having real-time reporting access to their review progress. So I have a poll here. It's just yes or no. Do you have real-time reporting access to how your review is progressing? Give everybody a few seconds to answer. All right, it does look like most people have access, which is awesome because, you know, sometimes it's difficult to find those kinds of metrics within Relativity. So I'm going to show you guys how we've approached some of the different things in RICOH Acumen on some real-time statistics. I'm going to go ahead and switch back over. So I'm going to show you the review analysis. This provides real-time document review performance tracking, and many of our clients have large reviews that require the utilization of maybe staff attorneys or contract review attorneys, and they want more transparency to what the contract attorney reviewer's productivity is, as well as the overall progress of the review. The review analysis can be accessed both from the workspace dashboard, it's the little pencil button next to the case, or you can use the pencil that's up to the left as well too. So I'm going to go ahead and click on the pencil to the left. If you don't already have any statistics or scopes created, you can create one using the new scope button. And I'm going to talk you through kind of what this means. So first we need to give the scope a name. So that's just so that way we can identify it later. Next, we'll be able to decide which case we want to actually put the scope on. So I'm going to go ahead and keep it as the Walter White for this demo. You can either do the entire workspace for this scope, or maybe you have a save search. You could just select here, or the folder in the Relativity workspace. So you would just select either of those two. I'm going to go ahead and leave it as workspace. Next, if there is any QC that's been performed, you would just want to check the little checkbox here. This is just if somebody's double checking the review calls that maybe those staff attorneys or contract review attorneys made. The last two things are going to be to select the field that the review field determines whether a document has been reviewed. So, you know, maybe it's responsiveness. So I'm going to go ahead and type in responsive. And then we're going to use that tag responsive designation. Now then next is the QC field. So say for example we have a second level review QC field that we're using to QC what the attorneys are actually answering. And that'll tell us whether something's been overturned as well too. So just wanted to kind of show you this. If I gave it a name, then I would just click the generate scope after this. I'm going to go ahead and use one that's already been created and click on the review one. And then you'll notice too, this is pulling real-time statistics, so it does take a little bit of time to pull the report, so that's why we're just going to have to wait for just 1 second while it's coming up. There we go. You'll see that the very top graph is the last 7 days of review progress. It has the total starting number of documents reviewed at the beginning of that 7 days. Now don't forget that this is based off of that field that we inputted as the field that determines if a document's been reviewed. And then we also can see how many the total documents are at the end of that 7-day period. You can hover over and see what the progress is on any particular day and hour within this chart. Next shows a breakdown of the hourly review. So how many documents were reviewed in that particular hour. So you can hover over and see I did 1100 at this hour on 11/9 at 1 p.m. The next two graphs show how many documents have been reviewed compared to not reviewed. So I can hover over and see that I'm approximately 85% through my review. So 85% of the documents have been reviewed. To the right of this is a breakdown by reviewer, and it shows which reviewer has reviewed the most documents. You can use the legend over here to the right to actually remove reviewers. So I can actually look at just particular reviewers and compare how they review documents next to each other. Next is a breakdown of the top reviewers and how many documents they have reviewed each hour during that same 7-day period. So I can hover over and see, how many documents they've reviewed and see some peaks and even valleys in the review to help me understand if I need to investigate why maybe their hourly review rate varies very widely from an average hourly review rate.
So
and then
Virginia,
you can see, yeah, go ahead. Sorry, Matt.
Oh, sorry to cut you off there. So I guess this data being really helpful to select an A-team when you have a review to complete within a tight time frame, especially a large one, and also being used to demonstrate your productivity and effectiveness in utilizing TAR workflows to reduce the overall review spend. With all that being said, we all know that different document types and sizes vary, and then your number of documents per hour does not always tell the entire story here. So is there any additional information here in review analysis that provides tell the complete story?
Exactly. I was just getting to that. So in addition to the documents per hour, we also have average native size. You can actually see how many the native size of the documents that they reviewed. It's during that same hourly period. So maybe a reviewer only reviewed a few documents during that hour, but they had a really large, like for example, this one right here, a really large number of gigabytes that they reviewed. This would be important if they had only gotten through one document, maybe in that hour, and then had a large native review size. It might mean that that reviewer hit a large document that took an hour to review. Maybe it was a contract with hundreds, maybe even thousands of pages, and they had to carefully review that document over that hour. To take it a step further, we even have a breakdown between the native sizes reviewed by the reviewer as well as the text size reviewed by the reviewer. The reason for this breakdown is that a native could be a video file or an image with a large native size, but then would have a very little text size to review. This gives an indication of whether the reviewer spent a lot of time reading something or not. Real quick, up here at the top, we do have some other tabs. We have a data tab. This also shows all of that raw data that's behind the graph that we showed under the progress. You can also see, too, if anything's been overturned, we would have some errors over here per reviewer. There's a report tab that shows the counts of documents reviewed, their hourly review rate, things like that for creating your own graphs as well. And then lastly, there's a sessions tab that shows the reviewer's login sessions into Relativity, making it easy to see who has been in what database and for how long. The very last thing that I'm going to show you guys today is going to be a global, or for reporting at least, is the global security button. It's the little shield over here to the left. We have multiple columns here. We have the workspace names, a group name, and then email address of the user and whether they have active access. Remember how we talked about you could deactivate a user? So this user still exists in Relativity, but they've been deactivated, so they can't log in and see anything when they try to log into Relativity. This can also be helpful if you wanted to see what access a particular user or group has, or who's in what group, things like that. You would just be able to click on the three buttons next to whichever column, go down to the filter, and then you could actually type in what you're looking for. So for example, I'm going to look through it for Matthew Hoffman. So from here, I can see that he has access to 2 different workspaces, and then he's in 2 different groups in each of those 2 workspaces, and he is an active user at the moment. So last but definitely not least is the help button. We have a help button over here to the left. This brings up the user guide for RICOH Acumen and allows a user to further understand the system and what functions are available. And there's the user guide. And it is downloadable and printable up here at the top, you can see.
Well, thank you, Virginia.
That concludes our demo. Yeah, so Matt, it's on to you. You can take the questions. How about that?
Yeah, you were fantastic. Thank you. And you provided an excellent overview of the business intelligence and relativity admin functions that RICOH Acumen provides. So at this time, we will want to see if there's any questions from the attendees, and I do see a few more in here. So first question we have is how long does it take to, do you want to ask them, Mary, or?
No, you're
would you like to proceed?
Go ahead, Matt.
Excellent. So how long does it take to create the workspace? So seconds, really. Virginia demonstrated that you can create a new workspace really within seconds. Another question we had was, are workspace templates customizable? Absolutely. So our solutions architect and project management team work with the client to get this set up and set up their templates. So one client can have actually multiple templates if they have different practice groups or types of cases where they have certain templates that they like. So absolutely, it takes out of the box, we have the standards, but it might take some time with a solutions architect to build those templates as well as the profiles for processing to ensure that everything's set up properly. I think that answers the next question we had regarding multiple workspace templates. So yes, you can definitely do that. Another question was regarding a real-time metric to determine view and overturns. So you can see the documents that have been viewed, as well as if the overturns. It all depends on when you're setting up a scope to do the review, and we can assist our clients with doing that and ensuring they have a right tag for the QC, and we can help report on that as well. Was there anything you'd like to add to those answers, Virginia?
No, that was perfect. I did see one pop up about how about user fees. Well, user fees, that's controlled through our Relativity user fees. So if you have access to Relativity, it's the same thing.
Correct. And this is offered within our Microsoft Azure environment, so not offered as a standalone. Quiet group out there. Any more questions from our attendees? All righty. Mary, did you have anything to add before we move on to the closing?
I think it's fantastic. I think our teams are always looking for the ability to control, and not have to go through intermediaries. And instant information is always at a premium. So, we have one more question and when do you expect this to be available?
We already have beta users. Yep. Available now. We already have people using it for us.
Oh, more questions are coming in. We have options for exports. What kind?
Sure. So exports are actually still controlled through Relativity. So we would still do Relativity productions and things like that.
Okay. The questions are trickling in here. Let's see. We'll give another couple of secs here. So Matt and Virginia, how would you like people to contact you? Do you want them to reach out directly to you if they'd like to see more? How would you like that to happen?
Sure. We have a couple of different ways. So we do have some email addresses and ways to contact our teams. As well as, Matt and I both are available for questions as well too. So.
Absolutely.
And then Matt, did you want to have some closing remarks real quick too?
Yeah. So I want to thank everyone and Mary for the opportunity to speak on this webinar, and everyone for attending and investing the time with Virginia and I today to learn how RICOH Acumen delivers that true intelligence into our clients' workspaces while providing more administrative control over those workspaces So it's important to note that RICOH Acumen is available to clients both in our multi-tenant environment as well as with clients that have their own Relativity license and is being hosted and supported within our Microsoft Azure cloud through our infrastructure as a service offering. So our clients can now easily create and populate workspaces with data, as well as add and edit user access and group membership, allowing their teams to begin review more quickly and efficiently than ever before. So statistics and review analysis that Virginia showed really provide those powerful insights into the data and review efficiency so we can manage and review process more effectively to deliver quality work product within budgets. And that's really the key, is to optimizing that eDiscovery spend, reducing spend on that review and eDiscovery costs, and getting the result that our clients want.
All right, and I'm going to put the email addresses back up today so that way everybody can write them down if they'd like to.
That's fantastic, and I want to thank you both for a wonderfully compact and feature-filled demo of some great administrative and reporting options. People are always wondering where they are in a project, how they're doing in a project. This, I think this is going to be proved to be quite a popular option. We're so grateful also to RICOH for providing Virginia here and Matt to educate us on their product. We initiated these product service showcases about 2 years ago, and it's proven to be quite a good way to educate our community about the benefits and risks of relevant technology, some of the things that our attorneys are charged with under ethical rules. So definitely reach out to them if you're interested in hearing more, and we'll look forward to seeing all of you on the ACEDS webinar channel for our next webinar. We thank you for your kind attention. We know you've got lots of options for your education, and thank you for spending your time with us here today. Thanks.